My wife can't stop throwing away her stuff. I'm getting tired of it.
Sounds like you're about to move into a van.
My wife channels Marie Kondo and throws out things that she doesn't like when she goes on her cleaning sprees. The problem is that she will throw out things that are important to me or would be used by our daughter, 3 female, if offered. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Soul and Sapphic, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit.
This is the opposite of a hoarder.
Yeah, she's just like, toss.
Honestly,
Not that bad.
Yeah. I would do this when I was really little.
Mm.
I would just toss a bunch of things. I was like, I have to get rid of stuff. Anyway, among other things, this is very frustrating because I have had to rebuy many things. I discovered that she did this early in our relationship after a few too many things were disappearing. Since then, I have practically begged her to talk to me before throwing out things, like putting them in a box for me to go through or something like that. Instead, she will throw things away and lie to me that she did not throw anything away. When I go through the trash and find all of the things she threw away, she'll tell me she doesn't think they mattered, and so they didn't count. In my situation, it was just my stuff, not other people's stuff.
It might not matter to you.
That's crazy.
But, that's my PlayStation 5, man.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. Haven't you ever heard of that? Each time this happens, I've told her how bad this makes me feel and how it feels disrespectful and controlling to make these decisions about our things without discussing it with me first. This is something I've made very, very clear how much this upsets me to not have autonomy over my own possessions. She doesn't do these purges terribly often. I'd say only a few times a year. I'm definitely messier than her and probably keep things that I don't really need, but I'm a team player. Follow her lead about how she likes the house and far from a hoarder. If she puts things in a trash bag that she wanted to get rid of, I would acquiesce to throwing out most of it.
Honeybee says she has OCD.
That's what I'm thinking that's a possibility. But I feel like a really easy solution is that she puts all of the things that she wants to get rid of and then just says, hey, look through all of this. Is there anything you want to keep?
But it probably bothers her to have it in a box and seeing it all unorganized. Like, I must get it away.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying right before she throws it out, she's like, go check.
I see.
We otherwise have a very good and close relationship, and I love her deeply. Yesterday, she cleaned up the house, again promising that she didn't throw anything away. For some reason, I believed her this time, and just so happened to notice bags of things she was throwing out when I was taking out the trash. It included toys that our daughter might like, but she's too young for. What? It included something I made for our daughter that she loves and is very important to me. She threw away disposable things that I would have had to buy again. She threw away some of my clothes that I wear regularly that she doesn't like, but knows I don't want to get rid of.
What if hers is she getting rid of?
Yeah. It took me a long time to dig through the trash and return these things to their spots. Internally, I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's not the stuff, it's the trust. She knows how I feel about this, did it anyway, and covered it up by lying again. This is probably going to come across as melodramatic, but it feels like a betrayal and violation of the trust and faith I put in her, almost equivalent to finding out she was cheating on me.
Wait,
Not,
Well, I don't know if that's really equivalent.
I mean, it's not equivalent, but I do understand that OP's saying, she's lying to me. I asked her not to do this. She said she promised she wouldn't, and then did it anyway, which is not cheating.
Getting cheated on once. Let's see, getting kissed at a club versus I feel like every item getting thrown away, it stacks up over a period of time. Like every item, let's say getting kissed out at a club is 100 points.
Yeah.
And then every item being thrown away is half a point.
Mm-hmm.
At a time.
At a certain amount, it adds up. Yeah. Not that it's the same degree or equivalent, but I have similar feelings of violation and loss of trust of the type that I've felt when I've been cheated on before. Okay. So he's like, I'm coming with receipts.
Yeah, because one, you have to buy this stuff. And we just read a story where this guy spent $300,000 and the girl was like, it's probably better off that he cheated on me than did this. Because, I mean, money is protecting in a way because it's protecting your future. So if you're always having to buy stuff,
it's frustrating. And also just the emotional kind of ties that you have to objects. If people, if someone took any of my books away, because people place less value on my books than obviously I do. And
she gets one book thrown into a pool.
I have never gotten one of my friends I lent her a book and she accidentally dropped it in a pool, and I have never loaned out my books ever again. Except recently, I was like, maybe I should trust again because someone asked to borrow a book, and I was like, okay. And she returned it, and it was a little bit banged up, and it was kind of ripped.
Is it who I think it is?
No.
Okay, never mind.
And I was a little bit.
What is a little bit banged up for?
Well, it was like
it
had like a tear.
In one page?
I have on the cover.
Oh boy.
You see, this is why I feel OP's pain, because you guys are like, that's so silly, but I'm like, my books are in pristine condition.
Dang, it's like you can't even buy a new one if it really is.
No, because I have emotional attachments to my books.
I have so many thoughts about this.
Me too.
Talking to my wife about this has not been effective at all. I'm having difficulty getting over the perceived betrayal of my trust. I have no idea what to do to move past this and regain the trust and closeness that I feel was lost. Edit, what a response. Thank you all for affirming my feelings about this. I respect and appreciate the comments, even if I think many are too harsh on my wife. While I agree her behavior shows a fundamental lack of respect for me and my autonomy, you all can't know what happens 99.9% of the rest of the year. For clarification, some of the things she throws out could qualify as clutter, though I would say most of it is stuff that is where it is supposed to be. Edit 2. She is not throwing away things that are obviously valuable, like a game console or something like that, which I think one of you guys made a joke about that. I can generally understand the logic for throwing away the things that she does. Some of the things she throws away, I really think she should know better, though. Unused packages of CBD gummies. Ooh, those could be pricey, right? I don't know.
I don't know either. Dakota?
Dakota?
I mean, I
Could this be
guess.
Come on, you know.
With CBD gummies, I don't buy those.
But do you know how much they are?
I mean, like,
No. Paul Christian.
Partially full container of kerosene, containers of super glue. Edit 3, to reiterate, this isn't a messiness thing. Well, at least not completely. I recognize that I am messier than her and have to put in a special effort. Pause, everyone. We're finding out how much CBD gummies
Hey, Christian, how much is like a package of CBD gummies that you buy? Oh, wow. Thank you. How many are there? Might be less. How many are there in the $30 ones?
Well, it depends on like the dosage. Why?
High dosage.
It's like 10.
Okay.
10, it's like 10, and each one has 10 milligrams.
And then how many are in there?
what?
10.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, $30 for 10 of a dosage of 10.
Ooh. Okay, so that's pretty.
You guys are focusing on the
Money.
gummies. I'm focusing on who throws away super glue.
That's also true.
Who has well?
I have super glue.
Everybody has a tube of super glue somewhere.
I do. I have.
Who has
I have
me?
a scrapbook.
But I'm not a slob or a hoarder or anything else that might provide some justification for throwing away things. She isn't throwing away things I leave out. She's throwing away things that she doesn't think I need. Most of the things she throws away are in their appropriate spot when they are thrown out. Edit 4. She doesn't actually watch Marie Kondo. That was just me explaining that she likes to get rid of clutter by getting rid of things that take up space. And there is an update. But do you have any thoughts before we get into the update about what OP can do?
Like we say all the time, communicate. So I think your wife has one train of thought, you have another train of thought, and these train of thoughts need to correlate.
I think we just need to find a middle ground. I think you need to go to her, which you have been. You've been saying, hey, please stop doing this. But I think we need to say, like,
what's the why?
Well, yeah, why do you feel the need to, do this without consulting me? And then maybe the compromise is, okay, you can collect all the things that you think we need to get rid of, but let me look through it. Let me double check that it isn't anything that I'm still using or have an attachment to.
Amy Lynn says therapy for both of them.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say some couples therapy.
Yeah.
Because that's really frustrating to have, like, he said there was a sentimental item in here for, that he gave to his daughter. So, she might not be throwing out things that are expensive, but she's throwing out things that are priceless.
It's the why for me. Like Riley said, it's like I think maybe, OP said something about like communication hasn't worked, but I feel like maybe it's the method of communication.
I
like,
agree.
maybe instead of being like, hey, don't do this, or why are you doing this, or I don't like you doing this, you should be like, hey, how are you feeling right before you think you need to do this?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening to you that makes you go, all right, this stuff's gone, all of it's gone now.
Which a lot of people are saying OCD, which that like is a possibility.
Right.
Yeah. But let's get into
Work
this update.
backwards.
Update. She has been extra sweet to me since the day before yesterday, clearly knowing that I was upset with her. I talked with her last night. I had written her a letter which I wrote expressing how I felt to make sure my feelings were clearly and seriously expressed. I procrastinated handing it to her, and she saw how distraught I was and instigated a conversation before I handed it to her. She seemed to believe what upset me was that she had taken away a desk and pushed all of my things to a smaller desk. What? She took away a desk?
A whole desk?
What is going on?
Taking away the area for me to do my art there to make more room for our child's things. She took away your desk?
And then she made room for your child's things that she's actively throwing away. What is she making room for?
Oh, also, I
Is she-
believe OP is woman.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've been referring to
Is she a
her as
woman?
woman. I think so.
Keon, Dakota Bot.
Keon bot.
Yeah, she a MF.
MF. Yeah, it's a guy.
That's just the best gender neutral way to refer to anybody.
No, is OP a male or female?
Yes, it's female.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Famale. Two famales.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
OP is a woman.
Famale.
Sorry if we...
We have been misgendering OP this whole time.
Everybody has pronouns. I don't. You will refer to me only by my name, Shadow the Hedgehog.
And we are
My
now
bad.
taking accountability.
And fourth, as we go forward.
During
Sorry.
Pride?
It's just one letter
Yeah,
we just
that's
don't
true.
see.
Yeah.
And usually it's
Well, it wasn't.
yeah,
It wasn't in the story, but it was in her username.
got it.
All right. continue.
So this makes me think she's building a tunnel below her house and is making room for all the debris from the tunnel. Because she cannot
I thought you were
rent
giving a
out-
freaking real answer.
He is, though, because I know exactly what he's talking about.
because you cannot rent a big garbage container for more than 2 weeks at a time without people asking questions. So she's probably finding ways to hide all the
Okay.
rock debris in her house.
For everyone out of the loop, he's referencing like a TikTok creator who's building a random like cave under her house, and she's an engineer and she's documenting the whole process.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not cool because
It's-
she
Oh.
doesn't have any like
Permits?
city permits or like.
That's not cool.
Wait, no, she does.
No, she
There
doesn't.
are,
does?
there are reasons
No,
why
she
you should not
doesn't.
be doing that. They're also it's probably illegal.
Dude,
Yeah.
an
My mom
engineer
is an
can't
architect, and
engineer.
I don't-
What are we talking about?
Well,
yeah.
I hope she's got permits.
And it's probably illegal because there are many tunnels underneath all of the city substructs. So that's why the government doesn't want you to know.
The government
there are
doesn't want you to
sewer
find the lizard
systems.
tunnels.
You know,
Anyway.
I actually, sorry, I am going to go on one more side tangent about this. You know the device that they used to see if the pyramids had tunnels? I just want to use that on major cities to see if there are any other tunnels below it.
Probably.
Like, why can't we just do it there, you know?
There's probably tons of tunnels.
I know.
There's like tons of like subway
why-
stations that like like in New York how they have subway
But
stations.
just
that are
subway
not-
you don't think there's any other tunnels other than subway stations?
No, I'm saying there probably are that are no longer are in use. But that's just like city building.
I asked Sophia the other week, hey, if I gave you a 9/11 PowerPoint, would you listen to me? And she said yes.
No, okay, I said if I can create my own.
Yeah. So we're both going to make 9/11
Okay,
things.
so first of all, the Porsche 911 Carrera
Okay.
GT is one of the
I
best
had talked with her
automobiles
last
ever made.
night.
Fifth plane.
While I'm not like super happy about that, I told her that wasn't what was bothering me. I explained how it hurt me that she knew that I don't like her throwing things away, and she did it again anyway.
Another one.
I explained how she'd thrown away art and other things that really upset me, which is a great point because OP's an artist. And like for someone to throw away a person's creations is really messed up. She told me that she hadn't realized that, for example, the chessboard that I had made was not a piece of junk because she only saw the underside of it. This is an epoxy chessboard that I spent many hours painting and preparing. A lot of art, depending on people's medium, can look kind of like junk
Yeah.
to some people.
Yeah.
You can't just throw it away.
Yeah.
Just- yeah.
I knew this one person I used to live with, and like they would just get together with their friends and just like say these things in a group setting over and over and over, and it was like kind of seemed like garbage. But then they made like hosted people at this event thing, and then did it in front of people, and it was actually great.
I was trying to figure out how this was related to me.
It is because your group would be saying
Oh,
crap
my
things
sketch?
together. Yeah. Haha.
There you go. While it's a little bent, it is gorgeous, and the time I put into it shows. I told her that she shouldn't even be making those judgment calls because she keeps making these kinds of mistakes. She then got a bit defensive, saying that I should have cleaned up the clutter already because I had talked about tidying up my desk. I agreed that I need to be better about it, but this argument doesn't make any sense because none of the things that she threw away came from my desk. They came from my nightstand, my clothes drawer, my closet, a separate closet. And I told her that. I hope her statement was just something said defensively without really thinking about it because the logic behind it has some bad implications. If she got rid of my things in my non-desk areas because of a messy desk, that means she got rid of things in non-desk areas as some kind of revenge. Even if this had anything to do with the desk, I told her that she should at least warn me before she goes through the purge. While I know that she shouldn't have to ask me to keep things tidy to her standards, the least she could have done was tell me to address it before she starts getting rid of things.
Okay, so OP is standing up for herself, saying, "This is where I'm at. This is
These
what
are
I
my
need
boundaries." Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely fair to say, hey, you can tell me to clean up my mess, but tell me. Don't just like delete all of it. I told her if this was really about clutter, she should leave it in a box for me to go through. She told me that I had gotten mad at her in the past because she had done that. I remember no such incident, but I told her that even if I had gotten upset about that, which doesn't make any sense because that is what I keep asking her to do, why would it be worse than throwing out the things without asking me? She told me that I should keep my things in my closet or the garage because those are my areas. All her clothes too? The super glue? Your child's sentimental toys? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Then I asked her if I have to keep all of my clothes in the garage too. Also, she had taken things from my closet, the alleged safe space. She said that she had only taken a shirt that was stained and shorts that I had agreed to get rid of. That just wasn't true. There were several shirts, pajama shorts, and a tank top that she threw away without stains.
So why is she lying?
Why the you lying?
She's lying. Well, I feel like she wants to do this, and so she's just going to make up whatever to prove her point. She's like, oh, no, I wanted to get rid of this, so here are all of the excuses to why it's actually okay. And actually, you said I could do it. And Opie's like, I never said that.
We
Just
just need to
making
get to
things
the
up.
feeling. We need to get to the emotional core that is causing this behavior to pop up like,
Mhm.
What
What trauma-
1% out of the year.
What trauma causes for
Yeah.
you?
Amy Lynn says, I'm telling you, she has OCPD and thinks it should be her way. Also, the jean shorts that she said I had agreed to get rid of was not true. I told her that I needed to get new shorts because I've been losing weight, but I don't have the replacement shorts yet. If I had been ready to get rid of them, I didn't need her help. Throwing out those shorts would have left me with only one pair of shorts that fit me. I know that she has a tendency to be a bit defensive and say things without thinking too much when she feels like she's being attacked, but she will usually ruminate on things later and address things more reasonably after taking the time to digest the issues. Normally, I try to give her a little space when she gets defensive like that so that she has time to reflect. However, it made me very angry that she kept trying to defend her actions, which were clearly bad, with arguments that did not make any sense. Though I've previously called her out on breaking her promises not to throw my things away, I had never called her out on her lying. I got upset and asked her why she keeps lying to me about it. If the things she is saying are true, she didn't really respond. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, before we get into that, we see a pattern. It's a loop. I like how OP, I feel like we're about to the circle is about to.
Well, I think OP is doing a great job at standing her ground and being like, no, that's not true. You can't gaslight me because I know that's not true. And then she's finding all of these holes in her wife's story.
But it seems like this part right here is about to.
Yeah,
We're about to get some insight.
I agree. She didn't really respond. I kept to myself the rest of the night. I cried a lot. She kept being extra sweet to me. While she might be acting like she had realized she's in the wrong and said that she would set aside things she wants to throw away first, she never actually apologized or expressed remorse. She didn't say that she wanted to earn my trust back. By the way, you can earn our trust if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
I'm going to be infuriated if we do not get some sort of illusion here.
Me too. And I'm worried that we won't.
Well, I think that the core of this is that I think OP's partner is probably dealing with, like Chad is saying, some kind of OCD or some kind of compulsion that maybe even she herself doesn't fully grasp, but it's like a feeling. And so when you press her, she's not going to admit it because she
just probably doesn't even understand it fully.
She can't admit to it. It's like, it'd be like admitting, like, I don't know, that you're just like wrong as a person, because that's how she probably feels about it, is that's just her.
Mm-hmm.
So therapy.
Please.
Therapy.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit left. It makes me think she still doesn't understand how devastating to me it is that I cannot trust her anymore. I'm not satisfied with this results, and I'm going to push hard for couples therapy, as has been discussed in the comments. Contrary to some of the other comments, I adamantly believe that this is not worth destroying our marriage about and raising our daughter in a broken home for. I don't think we're at divorce right now. If this is something that happens like maybe 3 times a year, this is absolutely not divorce worthy. It is absolutely something that needs to be addressed, though.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That said, her reaction / response, or lack thereof, to being told how upsetting it is that she keeps lying to me is an enormous red flag. If she doesn't care about regaining my trust, then I don't think we have a marriage to save. And I think this is just like, you got to keep having those conversations and get like a mediator involved.
Because I had a family member once that like went through a relapse because a death in the family, and then usually around that same time of year, they're like kind of like that pattern will pick up. I feel like there's something in your wife's childhood or past that keeps coming up every few times of year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to talk through, and once you're able to find that out, you'll be able to have a breakthrough. Once you have that breakthrough, I don't see why this can't work.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's one breakthrough away.
Yeah.
That was a really good observation, because I feel like a lot of people have those things where it's like when you get around to a certain time of year, it's like stuff starts coming up because like that's just around the time that it happened to you.
Yeah.
So, but it's all in the emotions for sure, I would say.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Don't.
Agreed.
No need to divorce unless like
No.
there's no solution at all, and you've tried legit
like,
everything.
let's try everything before we do that.
Yes.
My husband thinks I became too protective of my daughter, but I can't help it.
Help it!
Trigger warning, brief mentions of an accident, injury, and ensuing death of an infant. Burner account because my main is easily connected to the hospital I work at. 13 months ago, I, 27 female, had the happiest day of my life. Gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Amy, female 1. She has her daddy's eyes and my face. And despite being a little underweight when she was born, she has always been developing perfectly. She was everything we ever wished for, especially after several years of struggling to conceive. And this comes from Sad Display 40. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So recently I went back to work as a nurse at the hospital. My husband, Sandro, male 31, is independently employed and can work from home and watch Amy at the same time while I work. Since I went back to work, my home life has become tense. I see so many accidents at work for kids of all ages, but especially the ones involving younger kids hit me hard, even when I'm not the one treating them. I've been very protective and careful since she was born, but it has become worse since I went back to work. Just leaving her alone during the nights has become hard. When she cries, I immediately run over because I fear something has happened. When Sandro puts Amy to bed, I always have to double check that no choking hazards are in the bed, that everything around her is properly secured, that the windows are closed, and the list goes on. It's not because I distrust Sandro and his abilities as a dad. He's a great husband and father, a gentle giant who vowed to be a great father and so far has been. He's a seemingly typical ex-military legend, but he is a total girl dad.
Oh.
Amy's first birthday, he was in a princess dress and baked cupcakes.
That's so cute.
He has now started the plans to build a giant play castle in the garden for when she is older. Sadly, Sandro did not have a good father, so while I was pregnant, he was extremely anxious that he turn out to be the same monster. Now that I'm so overprotective, double check after my husband, he is hurt and feels like I am doubting him. He always asks me to trust him, and I do. But I know from experience that even the best and most responsible parents can even make mistakes. And some of those mistakes can cost them the lives of their babies. Ooh, this is tricky.
Ooh, I was thinking about it, and I feel like when you're in like healthcare profession, like a nurse or a doctor, I think that you can kind of go two routes as a parent. You can either be like super, super protective because you're seeing all of these things where kids get hurt and stuff. Or you're like, that kid's fine.
Yeah.
Like they come to you and they're like, I'm sick. And you're like, take an aspirin.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, I feel like that is the two routes that often happen.
And it happens with people at work.
And you're a first-time mom.
Mm-hmm.
You're both first-time parents. Of course, you're going to be nervous. However, being parents, like as a unit, involves a lot of trust. And if you can't trust your partner, then there's deeper problems in your relationship.
It's so hard to have an occupation that doesn't bleed into your like personal life.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I can't really enjoy certain pieces of content because I know the retention rate is not that high, or the intro could have been better, or like the thumbnail could have had a different title. 100 million things. And even when I watch people live stream, oh dude, it's a whole nother thing. I can't even watch live streamings. Yeah, it's tough. You, Keon, what about you? Anytime anyone ever asks you advice on computers, what do you say?
It depends on who's asking.
You have war flashbacks.
Yeah. There's some people that I know that have, like, when it comes to technology, they just have no awareness. And it just, like...
Mm-hmm.
Carly says, my mom is a you're fine doctor.
Shout out to Pam.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sophia Calone says, I don't think she's overprotective. It sounds like a normal amount of worry as a healthcare worker. I think the problem that's coming up, which it seems like she's just mentioned it a little bit so far, is not that she's like, worrying abnormally. She's just not placing a lot of trust in her partner.
Doubting.
I think that's the issue.
The perception of doubting your partner.
Yeah, but let's keep reading.
Sandro has tried to be understanding, especially when I explained to him that it is the same thing as him always checking the house alarm is activated and that the weapons he has around the house are all working in order before he goes on a work trip, during which I'd be alone. Just a bit of paranoia as a result of our work. It worked for a bit like that, but last week it came to a head. There was an accident with a 9-month-old, and I would say that she did not make it. I was present when we were all there and trying to revive her. I was sent home early by my boss, who knows I have a baby around the same age. That night, I cried myself to sleep in the nursery while my husband held me. Ever since that day, I've been unable to stop thinking and worrying. I've been driving Sandro nuts, requesting updates from him. I've tried to keep it to a minimum, but on a nearly hour basis. I would text him and ask where Amy was, how she was doing, and request a picture so I could spot any invisible dangers. I know Sandro is a good and overprotective parent himself, but I just want to be sure, and with my job, I know what to look for. Honestly,
but you're looking for things that aren't there and for things that aren't there.
Yeah.
And in doing that, like,
what happens when the kid's a teenager?
The thing is that you have to know that your child is going to get hurt. It's impossible for your child. Like, every child,
See, just like that.
Every child in the world has gotten hurt at one point, and it's not because their parents are bad parents. When I was like a couple years old, I was jumping on a couch and I accidentally tripped and face planted onto a sharp dollhouse. And I had a huge bump on my head.
Did it fix it?
Yeah. But I think I still have a very light, it was like when I was really young.
No, did it fix your face?
That's messed up. That's messed up. Anyway, it's not because my parents were neglecting me. It's not because they're bad parents. It's because kids get hurt.
It's a part of life. It's a part of them. When you touch the fire, you get too close to the fire, it's hot. You can tell a kid it's gonna be hot, but I want to know if it's hot or not.
Yeah. And I think OP is, unfortunately, because she's around all of this, she sees the worst of the worst kind of situations where kids get hurt. That's all she's thinking about.
Yeah, and as a kid gets older, you're going to have more worries. I think just going to therapy for yourself.
Yes.
So this kid doesn't feel like they have helicopter parent.
Yeah.
Like, you got one that's a nurse that's overprotective of, like, you not getting physically harmed. And then you got a military dad that's, like, overprotective, too, that you don't also get physically harmed. And you're just going to be wrapped up in a bubble.
Yeah.
The kid's going to be like...
You're going to have a bubble boy?
Oh, that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's Bubble Boy.
Yeah. But I think therapy, talk to your husband, get on the same page, and potentially take a, leave of absence from your job.
Sabbatical.
Yeah. It's because it's only confirming the worst of your thoughts.
Can we get a sabbatical?
No.
Will you guys let us have a sabbatical? Sandro was patient for the first 2 days, but on the third, he suddenly didn't respond after the first 2 updates in the morning. I started spamming him and calling him frantically and receiving no replies. At this point, I was completely beside myself and asked a police officer friend of mine to do a welfare check on him when he isn't in a busy or active on a call. I didn't make an official report to 911, just text a friend.
See, yeah, this is we've gone into, and someone said PBD, potentially severe anxiety. Absolutely. OP is thinking the worst, and this has gotten out of control. We need therapy. This is absolutely therapy. To call the police, regardless of if it's a friend or not, on your partner as the kind of first resort.
Turns out Sandro was in a very important meeting that he had told me about a few days ago prior, but I forgot. The meeting was with a very important client, and it was interrupted by a cop knocking and saying Amy's mother had requested a welfare check. Once the situation was cleared up with the police officer left, I was given an all clear, but no matter what Sandro did, the meeting was ruined and the deal fell through. Public image is very important in my husband's area of work, and a cop coming for a welfare check is not a good look. Oh my gosh, Sandro was furious with me. He told me that he has been patient, but I need to get a grip on my overprotectiveness, or he is going to consider at least temporary separation until I've gotten the help I need. I know he's right. I know my issues are going way too far, and they're damaging me, my husband, and my child. But at the same time, I can't help but think that I am in the right to some extent. Yes, I went too far with sending the police, but I know that. But what if something had happened? What if he fell asleep and Amy had fallen out of a high chair? What if she began choking? What if she was silently hurt and he didn't notice? At least this way, the baby would have been safe.
OP.
I told him, as much as he exploded at me, that he could handle taking care of a baby, that we can't coddle Amy that much, and that babies are more resilient than I'm giving them credit for, and that for every baby I treat, thousands are completely fine. Sandra was also angry that I clearly distrust him and think that he isn't a good dad, which isn't true, but I understand how it looks.
Yeah, OP, you're in this what if cycle. Of course anything can happen, but when you assume the worst, you're just walking, you're just living in this torture chamber that you've created in your own mind. Like someone said baby cam, maybe. Do they have a baby cam? Sure. I don't think that helps this issue though. Because this issue is beyond
also
normal solutions, because it's not a normal problem. She's got severe anxiety.
I feel like the more you worry about something, the more likely it's going to become true.
Yeah.
Because I had this random thought last week. I was like, I wonder what
self-fulfilling prophecy
Angie's house looks like during the weekday. I will never know what that's like. Yesterday I was at her house during a weekday because I had to wait on the computer to get done.
Manifesting.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. And you have to be careful with that on that level, because you're like, oh, this might happen.
Yeah, well, when you become so overprotective, kids, as they get older, they very much want to rebel because they don't like doing, everything that they're told to do.
And then it's going to get hostile because you're going to start getting more aggravated and angry with your kid. It's not a good cycle.
No, this is I honestly think therapy, and I am thinking even more that you might need to take a break from your job.
Yeah.
Because your job is just fulfilling all of these fantasies that you're creating in your head.
We began arguing like we never argued before, including how irresponsible it was for him to turn his phone off for the meeting so I couldn't reach him. We only stopped when Amy woke up from our shouting. I went to her, but my husband was faster and sat on the couch with her. I was just watching, and he snapped at me as if he was still allowed to hold her or not. I left to go to bed without another word. Sandro apologized later for screaming, and I could tell he was genuinely upset because his own dad always screamed at his mom into submission, and he hates arguing with me in that way. Apologizing for pushing him to that point ruined his deal and possibly damaging his reputation in his social work circles. Then he said that he shouldn't have yelled, but that he meant what he said. Sandro gave me the ultimatum to either quit work / work in a different field, go to therapy and get a grip on my issues, or he will have to at least temporarily separate and maybe eventually divorce me.
I completely agree.
I'm at a loss now. I love Sandro, and I do not want to lose him. I'm willing to do as he asks, but I also feel like unlearning to be so vigilant would also be endangering Amy again. I know that's kind of the point, that I should want to unlearn to be like this, but what if something happens because I do? I would never forgive myself for my negligence caused to harm my baby. Does anyone have any experience with this overprotectiveness they could share? How can I work to even get myself to go to therapy without feeling like it's endangering Amy? How can I make sure my husband knows I can trust him?
This is so tough because OP, even in understanding that she's being overprotective, still thinks that she's right. She's still like, well, but at the, like I can't stop but think, but you know, if I am not overprotective, then she's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to unlearn this.
The theme of this episode is breaking loops.
Yeah.
Here. The first one, we were almost at a breakthrough, breaking a loop. Now we're on the side of OP making the loops. Kimberly Fine says she destroyed the both of them the same time, trying to feel herself better in a collection of brief moments without seeing the big picture.
Yeah. Like OP's so sure that if she is helicoptering her child, that her child will be free of all sickness and injury. And that just isn't true. It's like, no matter how hard you try, your child will get hurt. And your job as a parent is to protect them from the big things and to teach them how to avoid those. But you can't do it this way. Because you're just going to drive yourself crazy and your partner crazy.
And your kid crazy. Kimberly Fine says she knows that now, but she's only considering her own wants and needs and acting without considering the ramifications. It's confirmation bias to use the outcome to justify her impulse behavior.
Absolutely. And she's in the perfect job to do that. She's got all of these examples. So I absolutely agree that his ultimatum, we don't support ultimatums.
Wait, go back up.
But she absolutely needs to quit and get therapy.
Actual Drop Bear says the issue that the first 6 months of a baby's life, they can't differentiate themselves from their mom. They think their mom is an extension of themselves and mom's body is an extension of them. I'll read one comment here. OP, you need to get checked for postpartum anxiety right now because your paranoia brain is running the show at the moment. Stop calling it overprotection and call it what it is. Paranoia and controlling. If you can possibly get transferred away from a unit with babies, that would probably be a good idea as well because your work is only fueling your fears. You're operating on confirmation bias because you only see babies that are injured. The vast majority of babies are not in the ER. You can't really find called that.
Yep.
The reality is you are not going to be able to control every second of your child's life.
But I said.
And you need to accept that and trust your husband is a competent parent who doesn't need constant monitoring. How would you feel if he called the police on you while he was away? Would you feel insulted or like he was suggesting you weren't capable of caring for her? She could just as easily have an accident in your care. Part of making the decision to procreate with another person is deciding that they are a safe person to care for your shared child. You have some serious cognitive dissonance going on, saying you trust him, but also assuming that the second she is in his care alone, she is in danger. This is a mental health issue. You need to talk to your physician now today and get a referral to a therapist who can help. And
I'm probably saying the same thing that we said.
Yeah, and then comments like, here in Germany, we're a bit more relaxed as parents, but in America, you guys are just always anxious.
Which
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
so funny.
honestly, that is kind of a good point. There's a lot of cultural differences because even in like you can see it in playgrounds. Playgrounds in America are very safe. Like in Australia, there's like zip lines and trampolines at the playground. Like there's a lot of different things at playgrounds because America has so many rules surrounding what can be at a playground.
Hot take.
What?
It's gonna make you fume. I think we're programmed that way. I think the propaganda and like the things that are around have made us as Americans more anxious just to live as general because we're always on fear. Every time you go on the news, it's always fear.
I agree. I mean, but that's also a product of just the massive amount of information that we are being like given because, you know, obviously back in like people are always saying like there's so many more serial unalivers and there's so many more like of all of that stuff going on. And it's like, no, there were a lot of serial people back in the day. We just didn't have information about them. And so people were letting their kids go out until nighttime and saying like, you know, my dad always tells me, yeah, my parents just said, come back when the lights turn on.
Yeah, my dad was the same thing.
Yeah, that was a huge thing. And now parents are like, I would never do that. And it's not because it's necessarily any safer. It's because we have more information about all of the things that are happening to kids.
And then the sad thing is like, oh, wait, I can become a serial killer? Dude, I'm going to start doing that.
Well,
wait,
yeah, and then
people love serial killers? Oh my God, there's so many podcasts. I'm going to be one of those.
I actually am very annoyed about the amount of glorification and the amount of coverage that these people get. But let's get into this update.
Wow, the product of our country. Sorry, I didn't mean to get us all hot. But
I do agree with you about that.
Well, let's get back into the insight of this couple.
Yeah, that was a zoomed out. Let's get into the micro.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry for not updating sooner, but I was waiting for everything to settle down first, and the response for my first post has absolutely been overwhelming. I'm sorry for not replying to any comments, but it's been truly a lot. Blah, 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 blah. To be honest, when I first posted here, I genuinely expected to be met with reassurance that I was not crazy, and that maybe I had to dial it down at the most. Instead, the replies were eye-openers. A day after I posted here, I sent the post to Sandro while he was in a room over and texted him that I wanted to get help, but I need to do it. He knows how hard asking for help from me is and almost immediately came over, hugged me and kissed me and told me that we were going to get through this. I truly don't deserve this man. I had a talk with my boss and it was immediately moved from the ER, and after a week of mainly doing administrative work, my boss approached me with an offer to move me to a different workplace under the same company. I would mainly work with the elderly and disabled to make their days, weeks, months as comfortable as possible. I was thinking she was going to get moved there.
That's great. This is like best case scenario.
Now you can worry when your kid gets older and what to do then.
Yeah, now you'll just worry about your own life.
Like, Sandra, no! No, don't get in the shower!
No!
Wait, let me come! Oh man, now Sandro's got to watch out for himself.
Yeah.
Oh man. Talked to Sandro about it, and he agreed to try it as an alternative to quitting the ultimatum he gave me. After 2 days of working there to see if it fits, I agree to the offer. Because of the circumstances, I was able to start my new job on the 1st of August, and while it can be sad at times, it is much slower and almost peaceful in comparison. I even talked to some of the old women there, and they told me similar things as commenters, and even some who shared how terrifying it was to raise their own kids at times. But that I had to let Amy learn to live on her own, or I'd have a child relying on me for my entire life. Yeah.
I love this. And now she has people that can give her advice who have gone through, like, you know, parenting and stuff.
Felt like she retired.
Yeah, she's getting off. No, I mean, like, I think it's pretty good to remember that the elderly people in our lives have a lot of wisdom to share, and I think we often discredit that.
It's true. Ain't that right, Keon? You give me so much good advice.
Give me so much wisdom.
Sure. Calling me old.
Yeah. Well, you got older today.
Still look younger than you.
That's true.
Look at me, dude. Come on. I don't even care if I look younger. I just like the way I look.
Anyway.
The only kids I come into contact on with the new job are healthy, strong kids visiting their grandparents.
Aww.
I think it might be the best decision I've made in months. It has put a halt to my career and I get less pay. But thankfully with Sandro's job, we're in a position where that hardly matters. Sandro also convinced me to go to therapy. At first I agreed. To be honest, I again expected the therapist to agree with me. As you may expect, she did not.
Yeah.
My therapist is kind but stern woman. She reassures me so I don't feel crazy, but also bluntly tells me when I'm behaving irrationally. We're still in the early phases, but I see her twice a week currently. I still have a long way to go, but we're working on it. I was diagnosed with postpartum anxiety, unsurprisingly, and PTSD due to what I saw at my job, and some stuff from my own neglectful parents, which I don't want to go into detail about. I think you should. I'm speaking. Oh, that was a bad joke. I've been going through some of the comments on my original post with her, and if that matters, most of your comments are therapist approved. Thank you to everyone who suggested a camera. My husband and I talked about it and agreed to have a camera installed in the living room and nursery. I don't know how I feel about that. His office couldn't have one since he works with sensitive information, but he just works from the living room now and goes into his office for sensitive calls and meetings. It's helped a lot that I could just check in regularly on it without having to ask him. My therapist and I are trying to work towards having me check in less and less. That's not yet perfect, but I guess we'll get there.
You know, okay. As long as the therapist is involved in this conversation, sure. If the baby cam helps, and be kind of an intermediary to you getting better, all for it.
I just don't like cameras in the house, man.
Well, I mean, baby cams are super common.
Still.
They're super common.
I don't know.
You probably will, if you have a child, you probably will need to have a baby cam. You have to have
I don't know.
That's how you check on your baby at night. You have like a thing next to them.
No.
Are you just going to have the baby in your room?
I'm going to have it in the closet.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to sleep in my bed and the baby will be in the other room. I'm going to walk with my own 2 feet to check on it.
It's the baby cam okay, sure. You'll find out.
I'll find out.
You'll find out.
What about you'll find out?
I already know.
My little brother slept in a drawer. They didn't close it. They just had it open on the floor. It slept in the drawer on vacations.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I know whenever we become parents, me and Sophia are going to go like hand for hand on this. She's going to be like, your kids are just, we're not even be able to work together.
We'll be fine.
You'll be fine or I'll be fine?
we'll be fine.
Oh, we'll be fine?
We'll be fine.
We're disagreeing over a baby cam.
We'll be fine.
Chad, what are your thoughts on baby cams? Baby cam yes, baby cam no. It has also started on an accidental thing we try to do every day where I log into the cameras and Sandra and Amy sit in front of the camera and we call while eating lunch together. It's become a bit of a fun tradition this past week since I've been at my new job.
Yay!
Also, a huge thanks for the kids who grew up similarly to how I'm treating Amy. Your replies really helped me realizing that I may be keeping baby Amy safe. Teen and adult Amy will suffer from it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Sandro has made it clear that he is not going to divorce me because he can see me trying. He's my rock in all of this, and I would be absolutely lost without him. Once I am in a better state of mind, we'll consider couples counseling because Sandro is still a bit hurt that I seem to mistrust him. And I understand completely. Sandro was talking to a lawyer about the possibility of making him the primary parent because my therapist has noted that we can't ignore the possibility of me getting worse if something were to happen to Amy, like a cold. And just in case Sandro wants to make it impossible for me to possibly act irrationally again and take off with her or something like it. While I absolutely hate the thought and I understand and agree to talk about it, but that has honestly taken a lesser priority right now. We've also decided to hold off on having another kid for now. Originally, we wanted to start trying for a baby again once Amy is about 18 months. My therapist agreed that it might not be a good idea currently. Probably all don't care too much, but a few days ago, Amy waved goodbye to me for the first time on her own when I left for work, without Sandro encouraging her first. I swear in that moment, it all became worth it. And I knew I had to work on myself to give my baby girl the best possible future without a paranoid mother. Aww.
Yeah.
That's super sweet. For the people saying my friend, the cop, is also at fault for enabling me, honestly, exaggerated it to him. I told him I hadn't heard from Sandro in hours and that Sandro hadn't been feeling well. I didn't file an official report or emergency line, just texted a friend to check up on Sandro when he is free. My friend has since informed me of what really happened, and he told me to never ever do it again and had distanced himself because I lied to him and in a way misused his power in a controlling move. Oof. I am still struggling, but I'm beginning to realize that asking a friend for a wellness check was wrong, and I'm afraid that's a friendship I won't be able to salvage. All in all, it's hard, and I often wake up to check on Amy, but I'm getting to a point where checking the cameras is enough about half the time. So much has happened in the last 3 weeks since I posted, but with my husband and my angel of a boss, now former boss, I have a good support system. And by the way, if you want best support system in the freaking world virtually with your ear holes, all you got to do is go to your favorite freaking podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, and search up OK Storytime, and you will have me, Sophia, Keon, Sam, Dakota, and sometimes Angie, and maybe even Carly as your support system.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. Yeah, right in your ear holes. And looks like people love the baby cam.
I am seeing a lot of people saying also baby monitors as kind of an other option to a baby cam, which also makes sense.
Is that the audio one?
Yeah, you can usually get audio ones, but just something that
That's the one
just a way to keep, if they're in the other room.
Yeah, I can hardwire a baby monitor with the stuff we have here.
I thought you were just like, I could hardwire a baby.
Then you're good.
What?
Maybe soon we'll be able to put chips in them.
What?
If I live stream the baby, I'd be fine.
What? That's crazy.
You won't have a baby cam, but you live stream?
That's a crazy step up. That's a crazy.
Like it's like
I don't want to record
beats.
that baby if I'm not making money off of it.
But have you guys seen that? There are videos like that where like,
hey, watch my kids for a second.
Yeah, literally, like they're live streaming. Like I go to use the restroom. Watch my kid.
Personally
What?
anti sharing footage of.
But have you seen that?
Yes.
Those are things. That's
it's
insane to me.
I've
Like
seen a lot
someone's
of that.
live streaming.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
watch
personally
my baby.
anti that, but
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of it.
Yeah. Nah.
But yeah, we've got everyone's on the baby cam or baby monitor side.
Well, if I had no computer hooked up to the internet and it had footage, maybe I just don't like the idea of downloading an app and kind of have an idea that other people can see it.
You would have, so there are things that you can get. There are like 2 monitors that you have. So you have one like the cam or the monitor like listening, and then the one in your room. So it's
Someone
not like
hack
on your. I think someone said you can get one that's like not Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can get ones that like aren't necessarily.
I will think about it.
Yeah.
I just don't want Ring to have.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, I understand that.
OP continues. It's still a struggle at times. I feel like this post sounds a little bit more positive than things really are right now. It's hard for me to accept that I am in the wrong, and some days it almost feels like I'm being lied to. But I've learned to communicate that with my husband instead of being a control freak.
Yay!
Those days are hard, but once I actually start to talk about my fears to Sandro, he always had the perfect reply to show me how silly my fears are. It's almost infuriating, and I love him for it. Thank you very much to everyone who replied. I'm working on getting better. Maybe I'll post another update on my profile to keep everyone updated if there's any interest/need to. My therapist encouraged me to listen to stories of people affected by PPA or the flip side, people who grew up with parents like this. So I appreciate anyone willing to share their stories and experiences. That's probably good insight to get a glimpse of what your future could be like.
Yeah. If you don't figure it out. No, I think this is all, I mean, obviously the whole thing with like him having full custody or, like full parental rights is pretty scary, but it hopefully, shocks you into realizing, oh, I need to make changes like now.
I don't know why, but I feel like Sandro is like this beefy, like tough Hispanic man with a mustache, just like walking around taking care of the baby and taking business calls. I love it.
Ex-military man.
Yeah, I know. That's what's like
Probably
in my head.
really,
He's just
really
like wearing
muscular.
like tight shirts up top, showing off all his muscles and like, don't worry, I got you, baby. And he's like super nice and kind.
And also he wore his little princess dress.
Yeah, and he has like a little.
I love when you get this like super muscular macho men who are like really cute girl dad.
He's like
a little tea and everything.
Yeah, I love it. It's
he's
my
like
favorite thing.
Pedro Pascal's cousin.
I love
like
Pedro
that's what he
Pascal.
looks like.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, or Tommy
Like
off
me.
of Last of Us. Yeah.
When I have
Oh
long hair.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just imagining like Ron Swanson when he has the tea party with the little girls.
Oh, and he has like all the makeup on.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm picturing.
That's the end of that episode, right, Keon?
Yes,
Yep.
it is.
All right.
Go ahead and give the close out.
Folks, if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And
See you tomorrow.